I want to prove something to myself and to my parents. And now it's to my son. I'm like, look what I made.
Look what I did today.
He's like, why are you on the cover of a magazine?
You have achieved so much. I mean, your CV is jam-packed. We got modelling, we got acting, entrepreneur, and this is crazy. You have the longest high street collaboration of all time with Marks and Spencer's as well. But before we get into all of that, I want to take it back to the very beginning of your career. When was the big career break for you? When did you get discovered? Where were you at in life when modelling accidentally kind of found you?
So, I mean, I was a schoolgirl.
Wow.
Which
So
is
how
kind
old?
of, I did a week of work experience at a modelling agency when I was 15.
Yeah.
I probably from around the age of, I would say 13, 14, knew that I wanted to work in fashion.
Yeah.
And, I would pour myself over these like fashion magazines. And that was really the only exposure I could get to the fashion industry at that time. This is going back early 2000s, right? There was no YouTube or what, internet or anything like that. And my bedroom walls, I actually found a picture of my old bedroom the other day, and it was just full of like fashion images and covers of magazines and things like that. It was not boys and boy bands. It was like
my God,
these
love
iconic
that.
shoots. And so I knew I wanted to work in the fashion industry, and I got a work experience placement at a modelling agency. It was the only place that replied to me. And now looking back, they probably just wanted free intern to come up and make coffee with them for the week and empty ashtrays and do some photocopying.
Smoking in the office.
Smoking,
Wow.
yeah. Oh, yeah, drinking.
Love
it's very
it.
ab fab, answering phone calls, people yelling at each other across the table. But it was such a great week. And I remember right before I left, my dad, who is a quiet man, but very poignant, he said to me, this is going to be the most important week of your life. Don't fuck it up, Rosie. I'm allowed to swear, right?
Yeah, you can swear on this podcast, babe.
And it was, and so I went and did the week of work experience. I came back home afterwards. I finished my GCSEs, and then I went back to London that summer. I grew up in Devon, really rural part of Devon, on a farm, and I had a relative that lived in London at the time, and all I wanted to do was to go to London. That was just like, that was where life kind of happened to me.
In those years where you were pounding the pavement with your A to Z map, going out on those castings, there is so much rejection on the journey to becoming a top model, like the one you have become, an iconic top model. Is there a moment or period of rejection that's really empowered you, looking back at it now?
It's funny because there is a lot of rejection in this industry, and there have been some really tough lessons with that. I sort of, even now there's rejection. It's like I don't always get the jobs that I want, and some things don't work out the way that I want them to. But it's always sort of, if something didn't work out, it kind of wasn't meant to be. I've never... I remember being sent home from a job once, and that was very painful and like really hurt my soul. But, I was very, very young. But if a job doesn't work out, I kind of think, well, it wasn't meant to be, or I'm knocking on the wrong door. Go find opportunities elsewhere where, I'm embraced, or I can make the best of the situation. But, I've always kind of also felt like if something didn't work out, wasn't meant to be, one door closes, another opens. And, so a job doesn't work out, good, then I get the day off with my kids. Or, a product didn't sell so well, great. Well, now I've got the data of why it didn't sell well, and I can put that into the next thing. Or, a project didn't work out, great. Then next time it's going to be better, and I'm going to have the learnings from this. So it's very much for me about perspective, and I can never really consider something that didn't work out or rejection as a kind of failure. I see it as an opportunity for like deep growth. And actually, when I think of the successes that I've had over the years, which have been, I feel very privileged for having, they're so fun, but they're so easy. But where I've grown most as an individual, and where I've been sort of exposed to sides of myself and depths of myself that I didn't know, are through things that probably didn't work out, or struggle periods. And that's not just in work, that's in personal life. And as I've gotten older, it really shapes you. And I feel for me, those dark sort of times or those struggle times are kind of what make me interesting.
Yeah.
It's like they've roughed me up a little bit, and that's what makes you kind of layered and multifaceted as an individual and as a woman. So I just try and turn things around and make it a positive. It doesn't happen overnight. You know, sometimes things really sting and they really hurt, and it takes a while to see why it didn't happen. But I always try and see things that happen, that feel like they happen at you, that they're happening for me.
Have you always had like a very strong sense of ambition within you?
It's an interesting question, because over the years, I feel like people have asked me that question, and when the question is posed to a woman, it sometimes
so
has
loaded.
like, it's very loaded, and I've always felt very kind of defensive about the fact that, and I really encourage it with all women to have ambition for yourself, and that it's not a dirty word.
Is there a moment you're proudest of advocating for yourself?
That's a good question. I'd have to think of that. I think it's always, you know, there's a sort of saying in this industry of it's more important what you say no to than what you say yes to. And I think I sort of had mentioned it earlier, is I do feel proud that I've kind of gone about things in my own way. Yeah. I think knowing when to say no, or knowing when to walk away from something can often be like a really hard thing to do, but I would say that's what I feel proud of, is finding those situations where you're like, this doesn't feel right.
Yeah. And trusting yourself. That's
Trusting yourself.
Such a big lesson.
It's such a big lesson. And as the older you get, and this applies to everybody, that internal instinct and that gut becomes more and more, it's like a muscle, and you learn to listen to it more. And it's just there's nothing more rewarding than listening to your gut, and then months, weeks, years later going, that's why. And I'm so pleased that I knew that wasn't good. It's just it is really like fulfilling to your soul when you listen to your gut. Because when I look back where I haven't, and there's been red flags, or there's been kind of, I've chose to sort of overlook or turn a blind eye, it's led me into situations that, you know, ended up not serving me so well, or not being kind of environments that I felt comfortable in.
Well, one situation that has served you so well, and served the nation so well, let's get real here, is your collaboration with Marks and Spencer's, which is now in its 12th year.
I know.
Which is insane. And also the stats are statting around this.
Stats are statting.
They are statting. I actually cannot believe this fact, and I love this. A Rosie bra is sold every 30 seconds in the UK. So while we've been talking, I don't know how many 30 seconds are in these minutes. My maths is not great. That's where the stats stop. But you sold a lot of bras in the last 30 minutes, babes.
Yeah. I love a stat. We love a stat. So fun, aren't they?
How proud are you knowing that you're doing that?
The whole partnership over the last 12 years has just been so phenomenal, and working alongside M&S and the design team and Susie Jenkinson has just been such a pleasure from start to finish to where we are now, and it only seems to continue. And the fact that the brand has grown and the product has grown and evolved, and the customer seems to return and love the product is really, really special.
You actually pitched the idea to Marks and Spencer in the first place.
I did. I was working with our M&S, and I was working with them as the face of women's wear. And I was signed with Ryan Reynolds, actually, and we did a really beautiful campaign together. It was so fun. And at the time, I was working with Victoria's Secret, and I knew that I really wanted to have my own lingerie line. And I sort of knew that M&S obviously had a massive lingerie department, but then I started to kind of dig in and do a bit of research, and then I realised that they are the UK's biggest, you know, lingerie market shareholders. And so I thought, what have I got to lose? I might as well just go and pitch them an idea. And they were incredibly receptive, which is wonderful. We started very, very small. I don't think anybody had any kind of big dreams or hopes that it was going to last, beyond a season or two. And it's grown and grown. And Susie
Wow.
Jenkinson, who's the head of lingerie and design, I've been lucky enough to work with alongside very, closely. She's, we're the team, her and I, and we have a wonderful team that we work with there. But her and I have just grown the brand very methodically and slowly over the 12 years. And like I said, it really speaks for itself. And everybody that wears or has been exposed to the product always talks about how the quality of the product is really good. So,
I mean, that is such a great lesson in self-belief. Did you literally go in with like a PowerPoint presentation and boards? I don't think I was that
sophisticated. Now I probably would, because
Yeah.
I think I just went in and I just had an idea, and I just sort of said, would you ever want to do this? And they were like, yeah, well, sure, we'll start small. And like I said, I don't think anyone had these lofty ideas, and that's what's been really nice about it too, is it's sort of evolved and grown with no kind of massive expectation of it. And having worked on other projects where there's like a huge expectation and then things may fall short, it's so it's so painful when that happens, or it just feels like there's such a far way to fall. But with this, it's just grown, and we've listened to the customer, and we've had things have done really well, then there's products and then SKUs that didn't work, and it's just the data that we've been able to kind of aggregate over the years. And so it's just evolved very naturally. And
Do you think your self-belief is infectious? Because I think
don't
it is.
know.
I'm literally sat here now being like, right, I'm getting those boards. I'm going to go pitch something. Because it's actually amazing to back yourself like that. I'm just in awe of that.
Does it come off arrogant?
No! Oh my God, no way. It's like, I think it's so amazing to meet someone who has a strong sense of self-belief and in such an amazing, empowering way like you do.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you.
Yeah. But I do think it's very infectious. Self-belief.
Well, being around, I've also lived with someone who is equally, I think, uses manifestation and self-belief as a real tool, and I know it's really infectious. Like, I want to prove something to myself and to my parents, and there's still a sense of that, like, look what I made, Mum, and now it's to my son. I'm like, look what I made.
Look what I did today.
He's like, why are you on the cover of a magazine?